What if humanity didn't lose an emotion because evolution removed it, but because civilization stopped recognizing it? Ancient Greek writers described a feeling they considered essential to a functioning society. It shaped behavior, restrained selfishness, and helped maintain social order. Yet today, most people have never heard its name. Modern English has no direct equivalent, and according to researchers who study the history of emotions, that absence may reveal something surprising about the way human feelings change across time. The emotion was called Aidos. References to it appear in Greek literature dating back to at least the 8th century BCE. Researchers describe Aidos as a combination of reverence, humility, shame, respect, and moral restraint. It was not simply embarrassment, nor was it the same as guilt. A person experiencing Aidos felt an internal obligation to behave honorably because they were deeply aware of their relationship to other people and to the expectations of their community. Ancient Greek society treated this emotional state as something valuable. Individuals who lacked Aidos were often portrayed as socially dangerous because they were more willing to ignore the norms that held communities together. The challenge for modern readers is that no single English word captures the full meaning of Aidos. We have words such as respect, humility, embarrassment, guilt, and social anxiety, but none of them completely overlaps with the ancient concept. Historians studying emotions argue that this may not be a translation problem alone. It may reflect a deeper difference in how ancient societies organize emotional experience. What the Greeks understood as one emotional category has become several separate categories in the modern world. Aidos was not the only example. Ancient Greek literature also described an emotional state known as Thumos. Researchers characterize it as a blend of courage, pride, fighting spirit, righteous anger, and the desire for recognition. In Homeric epics, heroes frequently acted according to their Thumos. Once again, there is no precise modern equivalent. These examples suggest that ancient people were not necessarily experiencing different biological emotions. Instead, they were grouping and interpreting emotional experiences differently from the way modern societies do. This observation connects to one of the most important debates in emotion research. Are emotions universal features of human biology, or are they partly shaped by culture? For many years, psychologists largely emphasized the universal side of the equation. Under this view, humans across different cultures share the same fundamental emotional machinery. The names may vary, but the core experiences remain largely constant. Other researchers argue that culture plays a much larger role. Language, social expectations, institutions, and shared values influence how emotions are categorized, understood, and expressed. According to this perspective, emotional life is not entirely separate from culture. Culture helps define the emotional landscape itself. Evidence from history supports the idea that emotional categories can change over time. One of the clearest examples is nostalgia. Today, nostalgia is commonly understood as a mixture of longing, affection, and reflection about the past. However, when Swiss physician Johannes Hofer introduced the term in 1688, it was classified as a medical condition rather than an emotion. It was often associated with people who were separated from their homes. Over time, that understanding shifted. By the 20th century, nostalgia was no longer viewed primarily as a disease. It became recognized as a normal emotional experience. The underlying feeling may have remained similar, but the way society understood and categorized it changed dramatically. Modern research has also identified emotional categories that previously received little scientific attention. One example is Kama Muta, a Sanskrit phrase often translated as moved by love. Researchers, including Alan Page Fisk, Beat Seipt, and Thomas Schubert, have argued that Kama Muta represents a distinct emotional experience associated with sudden feelings of connection and closeness. People often report tears, goosebumps, chills, or a feeling of warmth when experiencing it. These reactions may occur during emotional reunions, acts of kindness, or moments of unexpected human connection. To investigate this phenomenon, researchers conducted a large cross-cultural study involving 3,542 participants across 19 countries and 15 languages. Despite substantial cultural differences, participants described remarkably similar experiences. The findings suggest that emotional experiences can exist long before science develops a clear category for them. In some cases, naming an emotion does not create something new. It simply provides a framework for recognizing something that people have been experiencing all along. This brings the discussion back to Aidos. Current research provides no verified evidence that any human emotion has become biologically extinct. There is no indication that evolution removed the specific emotional capacity from our species. The more plausible explanation is that emotional categories evolve alongside the societies that create them. As cultures change, the emotional concepts used to interpret human experience can change as well. Some categories survive, some transform, and some gradually fade from common understanding. Historian and classicist David Constant has argued that ancient emotional systems should not be viewed as primitive versions of modern ones. They reflected different social structures, different assumptions about identity, and different ideas about human relationships. When those social worlds disappeared, some of their emotional categories became difficult to translate into modern terms. Aidos may be one of the clearest examples of this process. The ancient emotion we deleted may not have been deleted at all. The feeling itself may still exist within the human mind, expressed through fragments that modern societies classify under different names. What disappeared was a cultural framework that once united those experiences into a single emotional reality. If that is true, then history may contain entire ways of understanding human feelings that have been forgotten, not because humans changed, but because the worlds that gave those feelings meaning no longer exist.